All movies have the same thing. You got a hero in the movie. The hero goes on a journey. He always meets a female in every movie. He goes on a journey. He meets a female. He falls in love with the female. Then he meets friends along the way to help him in succeeding to accomplish his mission in the movie. All movies are like this because it's a mythology that speaks. It's a metaphysical mythology that's meant to speak. Movies meant to speak to a deeper part of your mind. Really, the hero in the movie is basically talking about you, really, and what you go through your life, through your life's passion, like The Last Dragon. I'm thinking about old movies. I'm an old motherfucker, but you know, like I was talking about in the other John, Magneto, all the superheroes, Superman, all the movies, the same mythology. Yeah, because it's the same.
I think I heard Brother Panic speak on that years ago too, man. He was saying like every story, like really, there's only one story that's ever told. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the good versus the bad. It's always like the good trying to overcome the evil, and there's a love interest involved. Like that's a fact though. Like you said, no matter what the movie's about, like it's always that same underlying type of mythology going on in it. No matter what.
The same underlying theme. It's only one, like you say, it's only one story, but it's told in different ways in order to appease the different audiences and cultures and stuff like that. They'll put it in different forms and stuff like that. Even religious stories, like the story of Jesus. I got a book right now called The 16 Crucified Saviors. The same exact story of Jesus was the same exact story as Peru from Egypt. From Egypt, you know, better known as Horus, had the same exact story of Jesus. Died, resurrected, had 12. Heru had 12 people around him on the Egyptian boat. Jesus had 12 disciples. You know, they're both born in virgin birth. You know, all of those similarities. 16 crucified saviors, deep. But it's the same story though. That's how you know.
So it's like so that book is basically like it's just talking about like what like there was like 16 other well-known historical figures that fit that same exact situation.
That same exact profile.
Okay,
before Jesus, that predated Jesus. I know Krishna was one. There was a couple of them I can't remember off the top, but I know Krishna and Heru and a couple of them.
I definitely heard about Heru. I've definitely been heard about that. Like that's where that Jesus, for sure.
Same metaphysical mythological story that's telling the same story about the hero's journey. And the word hero comes from Heru. So it's like that.
Right.
That same story is being played out throughout antiquity, throughout time, through the movies and through the religious stories, all of that stuff. But the story is about the movies and the story, the actual mythology is all about conquering oneself, you know, or conquering and subjugating the ego, because the ego represents the bad guy in the movies. So ego represents the bad guy in the movies, or the devil, or the antagonist is always the ego. You know what I'm saying? Because the ego is uncontrolled. We was talking about last time, like when Magneto lost his daughter. You know, he went out of control. You know, fuck it. You know, I'm about to kill.
Right.
All the bad guys was once good guys or decent guys until their ego became uncontrollable. You know, and then we could see the chakra chart. They put it in the movies too. All the bad guys is always red. So all of the movies got some heavy symbolism and some.
It's crazy. You really can't escape that mythology. Like even how you just said how all the bad guys was once good. Like that made me think of even the story about Satan.
Yeah,
like how they say once an angel, then he fell or whatever. However the story went, but you know what I mean. It's the same concept.
Once an angel, then he fell because he wouldn't bow down to the new creation. You know, you know, but yeah, it's because but all movies, and I got to thinking of that. I said, damn, yeah, all movies have the same mythological story. Even when it's a woman involved, when it's a woman is the main character, same thing, no different.
Absolutely,
same exact thing.
Yeah,
I was gonna do a joint on a breakdown. I did one on the Never Ending Story. Do you remember the never ending story?
Man, I'm like, I can't find nobody else that's seen that shit, yo.
Yeah.
I grew up watching that shit, man.
Yeah.
I can't find nobody else that's seen that shit.
I got a whole breakdown of that joint. I did a whole esoteric breakdown of the whole movie. Vicious jewels in
it. For real?
Yeah, I send that joint. It's a vicious joint. Down from the face of the book, where it got the two interlocking snakes on the face of the book, which is called the Ouroboros. That's a deep, heavy occult symbol where the snake was biting his tail. But them had the two interlocking snakes. But man, that whole movie was about him finding and coming into integrating or unifying himself or his consciousness with his higher consciousness or his higher self. Because the boy he was reading about in the book was actually him in his higher capacity. Right. And he was endeavoring to be like him. So as the more he read the book about the boy, he actually started to merge and unite and integrate with the boy. And they became one at the end of the movie.
That's lit.
Yeah, he got the courage. And then it was like, say the name. He was scared to say it at first, but then once he started towards the end of the movie merging with the boy, he gained the confidence that he needed. But throughout that journey, he had to work. He had to put in the work on himself. And he had to gain the confidence in order to become a trail. That was his name, the boy, the other boy. Sebastian and a trail. Sebastian was the little boy, and the trail was his high.
That make me want to watch that joint, because I said, like, I grew up watching it, but I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Yeah. But I never. It's so crazy because I never forgot that movie for some reason. Like I can't even, like, I don't even remember what it was about or nothing. But I remember that movie. Like never forgot that shit.
So you know why that movie made such a heavy impression upon kids' subconscious, even though we didn't know it was a metaphysical movie at the time. The actual director, whose name is his first name is Michael. I can't pronounce his last name, but he was an occultist himself. And I did heavy research on him too, because it was an actual book before they made the movie. So he was an occultist himself. See, like I say, all these movie directors, they study the occult, they study mythology. They have to, because in the format that they write their movies and stuff, it makes for a better movie to stick with someone on a deeper level if they write it in a certain way, in the format of the hero's journey. So we made a heavy impression because he did it in a way where it spoke to different higher aspects of one.
That's how you know that's really who we are. And like from what you just said, like how they just know, like if you format it a certain way, it's going to stick to the subconscious like that. That's how you know that's really who the fuck we are. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's really who
very good.
Yeah. And then the Last Dragon, that's another joint. That's the joint I was gonna do too. The next one on the Last Dragon.
That's Bruce Lee, right?
Bruce Leroy.
Yeah,
Bruce Leroy, the black Bruce Lee. So they made it like a comedy, but you know they got they make it like a comedy, but it's some heavy. Even when you listen to the music and the song, cause see, when I watch movies, I watch it for the entertainment, but it's really edutainment. Like it's educational too, though, cause I'm checking out the symbolism and it like, oh okay, so okay, this song like cut off.
Yeah, only give us like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, we just do like last time though.
All right.
We send the link when they cut off. But yeah, Bruce Leroy. Even when you listen to the music though, when I watch the movie, I'm listening to the music too in the background. They got some heavy jewels in the soundtrack. You know. Just look
saturated with that shit. That shit just saturated with jewels.
Saturated. They got the music playing, they got the visuals, you know, and that's that's psychologically, that's how you subliminally not manipulate, but subliminally persuade someone is through repetition, through images. That's basically the language of the subconscious mind. That's why when you do something habitually, you can create a whole different mind frame and stuff like that.
That makes sense with them like mantras and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Say that shit 1,000,000 times a day, you won't believe it at some point.
Yeah, you will believe it at some point because of the habitual, and that's how you hypnotize yourself. The self-hypnosis. or with imagery.
Yeah.
That's why visualization. That's why when they say you do visualization, because they can put some images in front of you, but for every image is associated with we're pulling out a specific emotion within you. So if we take a picture and look at a piece of apple pie, you know, you'll be like, damn, you'll have certain sensations within you associated with that apple pie. So images and habits, that's how you influence and manipulate and persuade the subconscious mind. That's why the movies, man, them Jones deep. But that Last Dragon, that's a bad motherfucker though.
Yeah, what's that like in the 80s, the 90s?
Yeah, that was like in the 80s. That's an old school jump with the dude with the jerry curl, with the tight print on his karate uniform, showing up. He had on red. Even his glow was red. When he got the glow in the movie, his glow was red. You know, it's symbolism again. Through the whole movie, it's a perfect example of the hero's journey. Because through the whole movie, Bruce Leroy was looking for someone to follow. He was looking for a master. In the beginning of the movie, he was you know, like, master, please, you know. His master was like, man, you got to a point now where I'm not able to teach you anymore. You know, you reached the final level. Now you have to go out by yourself and you know, it was like one more level he had to reach, but he had to realize the level was, he had to realize that he no longer needs a master, because the whole time he was the master. He is the master. Right. So the whole point of the movie was that he had to go through all this trials and errors, getting his ass kicked, getting bullied. He had to go through the whole movie until the end of the movie, when dude was beating his ass, dumping his head. And that was symbolic too. He just, sure enough, was drowning him. He dumped him 3 times. 1, 2. As he was dumping him, Bruce Leroy was thinking back and reflecting on what his master was saying. His master said, there's one place that you didn't look. And then when you look in this one place, you will find the master that you seek. And he got that. He caught it at the 3rd dip. Dude, but showed enough and said, who the master? And he said, I am. And at that point, he realized that he was the master. And he said, I am. That was another very metaphysical point in that movie. He dumped him 3 times, then he said, I am. Yeah, I'm gonna break that John all the way down.
What's the significance of the 3 dunks though?
The 3 dunks are
like that specific number 3.
Mathematically, that's how creation, that's the process of creation. You have thought, you have emotion, and you have the actual hypotenuse. Or in mathematics, if we're dealing with the right-sided triangle, we got A plus B plus, you know, A plus B equals C. So you have thought and you have emotion. Remember, emotion is energy in motion. When you think of something and charge that thing with emotion, you're actually bringing it and animating that thing to life. You know, it's going through a process. Now, on the 3rd step, you have thought, you have emotion, and the actual manifestation is the 3. The manifestation of the 3 is called the hypotenuse, or the Great Trinity. The Mother, the Father, and the Son. The Son, which is Jesus, is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is basically the manifestation or the finished work. The finished work of what you created. And that's how we create mentally too. You know, thought, emotion, bam, the finished product is our reality. Our physical reality is the finished product. But yeah, that was the significance of the 3 dunk. So he was going through that right there. Boom, 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 boom. On the 3rd dunk, the hypotenuse. He is the hypotenuse. He's the manifestation of his thoughts, emotions. And he said, the dude showing up, asked him that question, who's the master? Nigga kicking his ass, bullying him.
That part right there is crazy. Like, for him to say the exact word, who's the master, and he say, I am.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's like real occult shit right in your face.
Yeah, they ain't even had that shit.
He ain't even had that. He did. He said, who created that? Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy did that. If I'm not mistaken.
I heard of that name. Who's that? I heard of that name before too.
He created that move, or he even created it. I don't want to quote nothing wrong. He has something to do with it, because I seen his name on the credit. I think he's either the producer, director, or he has some type of influence behind that movie right there. But yeah, the last goddamn dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the beginning of the movie too, his master was showing him all the levels, and when he pointed, he had 7 levels too. Those 7 levels are significant to our 7 chakras too.
Right.
Each one of them had each the color of the chakra on it. I was like, God damn, that's a bad. This thing got some hell of a jewels in it. It had red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, violet, all there. So yeah, another movie, The Truman Show. You ever see that?
Nah, I ain't even heard that one.
Yeah, The Truman Show was with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, bad joint, metaphysical joint too. Through the whole movie, he was talking about the whole movie. He had a family, he had friends. You know, his life was perfect. But the whole movie, he didn't realize that he was being manufactured into a certain person. He was being created. So at the end of the movie, he started realizing throughout the movie that something wasn't right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff was fake and stuff like that. So at the end of the movie, he rolling, I think in the water or something like that, but he get all the way to the end of the water and hit like a piece of cardboard, bam. And the cardboard was the sky, it was a painting of the sky. And he was like, what the hell? So his whole life story, he was in like a big production studio and everybody else was pretending to be his friend. The whole time they were actually watching his life story. So he started getting mad because he found out and put the pieces together. He was like, oh, what's going on? Hell, I'm tired of this. Somebody tell me. So the guy came out, the thing, his voice came out and was like, yeah, I've been watching you. I've been there when you was born. I taught you what to like. I showed you what to eat and drink. He was like, I am your God. He was like, I am him. You know what I'm saying? And it was real deep because that's what they do to us too. They teach us what to drink. They tell us what's good to drink. They tell us what's good to eat. You know, they tell us what type of shoes. The Jordans, man, them are some hell of a joints. Get them. Next thing you know, you see everybody with Jordans. It's all psychological programming and stuff like that. So, you know, we're basically manufactured food, basically. Manufactured food for the people that's controlling the world. How they, the same way in the movie.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I knew you was about to say that shit, yo.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy, man.
Yep, manufactured food. He said, we like, I taught you with the like, I taught you with the this and that, your likes, your dislikes, all of that.
So but when he initially ran into the cardboard though, so that's like I guess like when the person, that first light bulb go off in the nigga's head that really make you question reality, like, hold up, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like something always make that light bulb go off. Like, you know what I'm saying? That first
even the story of Superman is metaphysical. When you get to thinking about what his real name is, Superman's real name is Kal-El, E-L, Hebrew.
The voice of God, right?
Voice of God, or God himself. Because in the Moore Science Temple, when I was in the Moore Science Temple, my name is Rakilim El. El meaning God, voice of God, God, creator. You know, the S on Superman's chest. The S on Superman's chest represents the serpent, the serpentine power that goes up and down the spinal cord. You know, the Inga and Pingala, basically what it's called, the negative and positive polarity. That brings us back to polarity. We was talking about the 7 Hermetic principles. You know what I'm saying? That Inga and Pingala, or that negative, positive polarity, life force energy going up and down the spinal cord. It's the same force that Yoda was talking about as well, and Bruce Lee, the Bruce Leroy, the sublime glow, and all of that. That's dealing with that. So Superman's father, his name was Jor-El, J-O-R, with the E-L attached to it. You know, all of this was, all of these movies, even the cartoons especially, or have a lot of occult symbolism and metaphysical jewels being dropped up in there. You know, but
do you so you know who created Superman? Like, who created that character?
Yeah, I think the dude that created him was a so-called Jew. You who's a so-called Jew. I know that for, I think a white guy got black hair. I'm not sure of his name though off the top, but yeah,
Okay.
you already know he had to have knowledge, you know. Even if you study Judaism, the deeper you get into Judaism, you begin to start to study the esoteric aspect of Judaism, which is the Kabbalah. Like all three major religions have an esoteric counterpart. Like Christianity got Gnosticism, Judaism has the Kabbalah, Islam has Sufism. And when you get into the deeper aspects of those religions, you start to see these 7 hermetic principles pop up a lot in there too. For instance, in Islam, because I was in all of these religions that I'm talking about at one time in my life. I was a Christian, Jew, and into Islam. And I was in Islam. When you prostrate, make prostration in your prayer, you have 7 points on the ground. You have boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7.
Right.
Yeah, so it's shaped like a box and then a pyramid at the tip when you down there making prostration. That number 7 again in Islam, the 7. You have 7 is one main prayer in Islam. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Those were 7 lines I just said. So there's 7 main phrases in the main prayer in Islam. That number 7 again. The prayer is called the Fatiha. But there's 7 main prayers. This when you prostrate and make prostration to Allah, there's 7 points on the ground and you're in the shape of like a pyramid. So these religions have these esoteric, deeper meanings within them. You know what I'm saying? You can go with the exoteric or the esoteric. The esoteric is the hidden. The exoteric is just if you was in Islam and just praying to Allah.
Right.
When you get into the deeper aspects of it, you get into what is called Sufism. The whirling dervishes. These are Muslims that study Islam, but they study it from the metaphysical or esoteric perspective in which they understand that Allah is not some God that you pray to in the sky. Allah is a state of mind, a higher state of mind that you can reach. So what they do, and why they're called the whirling dervishes, they whirl themselves, they wear the fez, and they do a beautiful dance and whirl themselves into like a state of trance or hypnosis in which they can reach that divine mind, and then they go and have like they go put themselves into trances, and then they experience God from within. Different levels, different altered states of consciousness, what they're trying to do and put themselves in. In Christianity, they're into Gnosticism. The Gnostics, we was talking about before, the Gnostics and the demiurge, how they found these texts in Hammadi, Egypt, these scriptures that talk about the Bible and how the God in the Old Testament is an evil God called Yaldabaoth. He's an evil God, and his angels are evil too. They are archons and demiurge, and what they do is they help create this reality that pulls the wool over our eyes because they feed off of us and they use us as food. So these scriptures and this text is talking about all of that. It's giving a totally different view.
When you say they feed off of us, you talking about like our emotions?
Yeah, this actually
like our energy almost like.
Yeah, there's actually something that it's emotional energy. We emit different types of frequencies and different fumes as well that come out our pores. They feed off the stuff that comes out our pores. It's a word for it. I'm not sure what the word is, and they feed off of our emotions too. Because when we have negative emotions, we emit certain types of fragrances and at our pores and stuff, as well as the frequency that we emit through our aura, through that fear and anxiety. So they feed off of fear, anxiety, hate, unsurety, low self-esteem. They love that.
Misery, all that shit.
That's why I saw this war in the world. They constantly, and they use the people that control the world, like the bloodline, the families. They use them to, do their bidding, because these beings that I'm talking about are not physical beings. These beings exist simultaneously with us, but they exist at a frequency in which we can't interact with them. You know what I'm saying? So they use they use they use those bloodline families in order to do their biddings. The bloodline families do magic, so they channel these entities. And, you know,
so let me, not to cut you off. What's the purpose of them feeding off of us? Like, do they need that to sustain themselves?
Yeah, they need that to sustain themselves. Basically, when you see, what was I gonna say? Like the god mythology. Let's take mythology from Clash of the Titans or Wrath of the Titans. One of them, when the gods was up there, and the dude was riding through the village telling everybody not to pray to the gods anymore. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that, because he figured out that, you know, we gods, really, we creating our reality. When you give your power to something else, it's like a form of weakness. It gives off a form, energy, a low vibratory frequency, and that's what they feed off. And that's like a parasite. Like parasite has to eat something in order to, you know, parasite.
So their survival is based off of basically, like, damn. I was about to ask this question, man.
Ego. It's based off of ego. Uncontrolled.
It's based off of it's really based off of our consciousness, basically. Like if everybody was to just stop praying and stop and start just realizing who they are, like, them motherfuckers would just dissolve, basically.
Yeah, they would vanish. It would be no more.
Okay.
Yeah, their whole existence is based off us. That's why when people say, oh, you know, depopulation and all of that, I mean, depopulation to a certain extent, but not really, because the earth is not that overpopulated. That's a myth anyway. But yeah, they have to eat and feed off of us in order for them to be up there, because see, they're egotistical beings. They're very egotistical. In the Bible, when he was talking about God, in the Bible was talking about he was a jealous God. That's a low vibratory attribute. That's not no divinely God attribute.
Absolutely.
Jealous, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's keys in the Bible that point you to prompt you to think about, like, damn, jealous. Okay, he's an angry God. God got more bodies in the Bible than the devil.
on everything.
Yeah, he got more bodies in the Bible than the devil. The devil ain't killed nobody. Actually,
hey, I was reading a little bit in the Bible before, like the beginning, the Old Testament and shit. And I was in my head like, damn, like, how many times God then said, hey, go up there, kill everything.
Hey.
Then go down there, kill everything.
Crush everything.
Like,
yeah.
John Gotti.
Yeah, you know? God in the Bible, y'all. So the Gnostics called him an evil God. They called him an evil, unjust God. You know, when that story. Yeah, they said the serpent in the Garden of Eden was basically good. Because the story goes is that it's all mythology though, the way it's going, but the serpent is basically good. The serpent, anytime you see a snake, it's representing life force energy in our body, you know. So, but in mythology, the serpent is having a conversation with I think Eve or Adam, and telling them about the apple. You know, God didn't want him to bite into the apple, but the serpent was saying, if you do bite into the apple, you know the knowledge of good and evil, you be like God. You surely be like gods. And that's the goal of humanity, to become God-like, you know. So God in the Bible, y'all the bro. No, don't do it. Don't do it. You know, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't want you to know who you are.
Yeah, I want you to know who you are. Yeah. I won't be able to control you then. I won't be able to feed off of you and shit. You know how to control your emotions and that and all of that. I won't have no more control over you. So that story in the Bible from the Gnostics is deep. And a lot of people,
that makes sense. That makes sense though, and it's just crazy how that story gave like a snake such a just a fucked up reputation like to this day. Like a snake, when you hear people talking about this, always in a derogatory way. It's always something negative. Nobody want to be a snake. You know what I mean? But really, like, the snake represented something totally different. Like,
totally different.
You know what I mean?
Totally different.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The snake represents something totally different this whole time. You know, even on the back of the ambulance truck, we see it. You know, the back of the ambulance truck in the medical profession, they use the symbol of the caduceus, It's called the caduceus when there's two snakes going up the pole. The pole representing the rod representing the spinal cord. They know the science behind this. The rod representing the spinal cord. The two serpents going up the rod represents the inga and the pingala, or the negative and positive polarity, life force energy going all the way up until it hits that pole pop right there. It creates wings. The wings represent psychological and spiritual freedom. You know, once you get to that point of being able to control the kundalini and make it rise, hit that pineal pituitary gland, and you know, get them wings and finally be psychological and spiritual.
I never thought, until you just broke down that story though, man. I never thought about it like that, like, cause you know, I grew up in a Christian home, used to go to church, and you know, we always was told that story, and they definitely made it a point to say like the snake's whole point of view was basically like, if you bite this apple, then you would know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was thinking about that, and I was like, why would that be something negative for me?
Why would that be something
like,
negative?
You know what I'm saying? Like, that is crazy, yo. That's crazy.
That's crazy. So the Bible was really tampered with, and they took these books and parts out of the Bible. And a part of it was in Egypt. It was called Nag Hammadi Egypt, and they call the scriptures the Nag Hammadi scriptures. And it's giving the account of that particular event taking place in the Bible story, that he's evil. It do make a lot of sense. Then the Bible is a deep book though, when you look at it from an esoteric point of view. Because even the word Adam wasn't really a man. We all know that's mythology, but from a metaphysical perspective, we can see Adam as being the atom. You know, and we're talking about the beginning of creation, and Eve being an electron. You know what I'm saying? So that's the story has a aspect of the story that talks about that as well. You know, and Adam being the atom and Eve. I had looked up the name Adam and Eve before, like what was the meaning, and it came back to mean something like, I want to say Adam like meant like earth, and then Eve meant like living, like it was like earthlings or some shit, like it was something along those lines, yo. Stories be allegorical. The whole time they got us like, wow, I'm gonna get to go see Jesus and all this. But yeah, all those religions have an esoteric counterpart: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Islam has a lot of branches. Like I was telling you, I was in the Moore Science Temple of America one time, Grand Sheik, Sunday school teacher. I was a 5%er. That's a branch of Islam. 5% of God bodies, nation gods, and earth. You know, but those are a lot better than the traditional form of Islam. You know, because
a lot better, like in terms of what?
In terms of, I'm not going to take nothing away from the traditional form of Islam, because I gain a lot from that too. But in terms of, if I had to choose 5% or that, I would choose being a 5%, because it caters more toward looking towards your inner self as being God, as opposed to looking outside yourself for someone to help you and praying and have to do all of this stuff. In the God body, you know, you have to do internal work. You know, you got to go in, work on yourself, and recognize yourself as God. You know, say the black man been looking for help for millions of years. Ain't nobody came out the sky and ever saved him. You know, he had to take it upon himself.
Ever.
You know, tie up his Nikes and get out there, do the work on himself, find out his strengths, his weaknesses, do the shadow work, and go out there and do it. But 5% Nation got the supreme alphabet, mathematics. They got the 12 jewels. You know, it was real structure, and it gave me a real good foundation in which to carve out my own path of life. So, you know, in Judaism, they got the Kabbalah. Yep, the study of the Kabbalah, or the tree of life. And that's right there within itself. So all these religions got them esoteric counterparts, just like all the movies have the esoteric meanings and symbolism in it. You know,
to me it seemed like with the religious stuff too, like how you said everything got the esoteric and the what's the other word, the
exoteric and the esoteric.
Exoteric. It's like once I come across like the esoteric meaning of things, it's like not only does it make more sense, it's just like I don't know how to explain. It just make the esoteric shit make way more sense than just literally looking at this shit and thinking there was a snake talking and there was niggas dying and then waking back up. Like, it don't make sense like that. When you get to the esoteric information, it's like this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Intelligent enough to grasp the information and digest it. This actually makes sense. You know what I mean?
It actually makes sense. Yeah, it makes more sense than it just taking it from a literal point of view.
It don't make no sense, literally.
A snake talking to you and shit and all this. You know, it makes more sense that the snake is something within you that was talking to you, an aspect of
absolutely
that was talking to you. And that makes more sense because we also always have inner conversations and wars within ourselves every day, every second. That's what the movies is about, the inner conversation and turmoil that we go through and the plight and the journey that we have to go through dealing with that in order to, you know, maximize our full potential and complete on earth and shit. That's what all the movies is about, same damn thing and shit. But man,
absolutely.
Yep.
And that's like, it's like the movies, man, like that underlying concept. It's like, it's everybody's life and path is different. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, at the same time, that's the framework for everybody's story. Everybody's going through ups and downs and those times they don't believe in themselves, they look for other people. Everybody's story here.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Same thing with regardless of which ethnicity you is, how old you is, how small you is, big, tall you is. It's the same underlying story, like you said. And that's why those movies is good, because they tell you what your purpose is in life. It's to know yourself, to gain courage and more confidence, and believe in yourself is the main thing, because belief is where the power is. You know, the belief.
Sure.
You could read every book in the world, but if you don't believe a certain thing, then that shit ain't gonna work. You know, so belief in something is where the power is, because you give power to a thing doesn't give power to you. A thing may influence, you know, kind of influence you, but ultimately you have to be the one to make the choice to give the power up. You give that power up to an external source, or you can channel that shit and harness the energy and that power within, you know. So yeah, man, all the movies, Star Wars, man, I love Star Wars, man.
Yeah, I always heard about Star Wars being you know, a cult and all that. I never tapped into Star Wars. I never liked it when I was a kid. Like, I never gave it a chance. Like, but I always be hearing about Star Wars, man. Everything, the Force and all that, all that shit.
Yeah, a lot of people can't really get into Star Wars because it got all these characters with different names and different situations and families. But you watch the first one, you'll see it got some heavy shit. And if you really pay attention to what Yoda was saying, how he was teaching Luke Skywalker, you know, and understand who the Jedi really is and all of that, you say, God damn. So the word Jedi comes from Jehudi. You know what I'm saying? Jehudi, and which is Hermes Trismegistus. The word Jehudi, or the Jed pillar. The Jed pillar is a symbol in Egypt. It's really talking about the chakras, or, you know, the life force in the shape of like a battery, like kind of life force energy. And man, the Jedi are the ultimate warriors in Star Wars, because they've channeled this force. That's why they always talk about the force and all of that. They channel the force. They channel the force in order to open up key pathways in order for them to do telepathy and extrasensory perception and telekinesis and all of that stuff. You know, but Yoda's the master. So, you know, and in the movie, the lightsabers, if you pay attention to the lightsabers, all the bad guys in Star Wars has red lightsabers.
Better go that red again.
That red again in every movie. Magneto red. Bruce Lee, Sho'nuff from Bruce Lee was red. So
that ego
got a red lightsaber. All the good guys have green, blue, and blue lightsabers. Now they had Samuel L. Jackson in this joint in Star Wars, and he had a violet lightsaber. That color that he had, violet, is the highest spectrum on the 7 chakras.
What was his role in the movie though? Like who was he?
He was Yoda's right hand man. I guess like his grand student. Like he like his right hand. He was like Yoda's right hand or his best student. You know, but he was and they gave him a good, that's what I liked about it too. They gave the black man a good position and role in that type of movie, because that's a big ass franchise, Star Wars, you know. But
right.
Yeah, he had the violet joint, and you know, Yoda and Obi-Wan and all them had the green and the blue. Green and blue, green representing the heart chakra, blue representing the throat chakra. You know, and the reason why they're these colors is because what I was talking about is the frequency. Different frequencies create different colors. The higher the frequency, different the color changes. So that violet is a high frequency. That green is a high frequency because it deals with the heart chakra right in the middle. You know, so yeah.
So what is violet the crown?
Yeah, yep. Crown chakra. Crown chakra deals with, and every chakra is associated with a particular gland in the body.